begin, sir?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lawful Assembly, a legal podcast brought to you by TMP, the Mentorship Project. This is an initiative to bridge the gap between law students and industry experts through meaningful and candid conversation, along with some real world insights. I am Priyal, a third year law student at NLU Lucknow, and your host for today's episode. Today, we are joined by someone who truly embodies what it means to be dynamic in in-house counsel, Mr. Saurabh Verma. Saurabh, sir, is currently serving as the senior legal manager at Tata Motors. He is also an expert mentor at TMP. We are grateful to have you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Priyal. Yes. So I'm really excited about because I've never done a podcast thing till now. So considering that whatever I can, contribute to this podcast, I'll be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In the next few minutes, we'll dive into his experience from a law student to an in-house counsel, his working experience, internships in in-house, and a lot more. So let's get started.
Thanks.
First things first, sir. Can you tell us a little about your law school journey, or maybe how did you even end up in law? And now, how did you find yourself being inclined towards in-house?
It all starts in class 11th, I guess. After 10th, I was quite excited about, taking science as a stream because I thought my family is full of doctors and engineers. So maybe I could also pursue something like that. But 6 months into it, I realized this is not made for me. So I was very clear these 2 years, like that was year 2009 and 2010, was the time when I was pretty much concerned that science is not made for me. So that found my calling. Especially, I was not really concerned about doing law as such, but then at that point of time, I was inclined that I didn't want to do or didn't want to continue into science stream at all, be it engineering or be it anything related to that. So and ended up writing so many exams, and then did write up clat also at that point of time. So after writing clat, I realized that this is more exciting because at that point of time, because now clat format has changed completely. Back in our time, it was only 20 marker legal reasoning was there, not legal knowledge, legal reasoning. So that was, I believe, that was easy for a class 10th, 11th, 12th studied student to, if you have that legal understanding, a basic legal understanding, you could crack it. And that's how we ended up giving clat and ended up being in an NLU. So this is how I reached a law school, which is not by luck, I would say, but yeah, deciding on not to do something which was very popular back then, and then ended up doing law. And with respect to in-house, also was kind of a similar thing because from first year, second year onwards, all law school students have this thing very pretty clear that they what they want to do. They wanted to go to a law firm, or if they want to crack judiciary. So I think back in our time, people were very clear about what their career projections would be by third year, because first year is your NGO internship, second year is your litigation internships. I think the pattern is pretty much the same till now.
Mm.
So third year onwards, people start applying for your law firm internships. And coming from a tier two law school, we didn't had very much access of getting great internships without any contacts or references back then. Now that I think every other law school, not I think fairly all these schools are having. So I'm also from NLU Lucknow only. So back in our time, we had no alumni to support us at that point of time. So we had to, and plus seniors who were they had contacts. So through whatever contacts, we were getting internships, and we were persevering the internships at law firms also. So by third year, most of my batchmates they were interning somewhere in a law firm, or at a litigation office, or with some senior advocate. But somehow I could not get through any of those places which I wanted to be. So at that point of time, I realized that why shouldn't I try something which is not being tried by anyone else. So randomly applied at an internship at ONGC. So that's how I ended up interning at ONGC. And I could see a batch of fresh graduates who had just joined ONGC at that point of time, and I realized that the pay was well, okay, and the work was kind of great at that point of time, and plus it was quite different from what I had heard about law firms and what it was, practicing with senior advocates and thing like that. So I kind of liked it because the amount of work was good and the pay was also nice. Because earlier I thought only law firms pay you well, all the other offices and especially litigation lawyers don't pay you well. My consideration was always that I if I want to start working, I need to be paid a decent amount to start with. So this became a consideration back then. So yes, that was my introduction to in-house world of practice, wherein it was not certain that which area of practice you'll be strictly following. So you had number of cases pertaining to labor laws, pertaining to commercial aspects like arbitration matters. So there was a slice of every other pie that was there. So in the market, so it felt like quite challenging also, and it interesting also, because then if you get stuck to one kind of litigation, then you become an expert of that, and you really don't look into some other aspect, which happens at internship also. I someone who was working at that point of time with taxation law firm, I is a taxation partner now. So then that thing was quite, as a student, was surprising to me that you just start working in one practice and then you eventually go and become an expert of that, which is great, not an issue. But to me it was challenging that you are still learning and you are still exploring so many new laws and areas. So in-house practice generally gives you a flavor of that there's nothing strictly, obviously there'll be a specific manufacturing sector or a specific industry that you are in. So the laws specific to that are gonna come your way every now and then. But apart from that, anything else which has got law attached to it, your company will come to you for advice and solutions, whatever they are stuck with. So this is how I founded myself into in-house thing. So after my 5 year law school, I did write a few exams, and after writing few exams, I ended up in a PSU. So I was working with a public sector undertaking for almost 7 years. Then I shifted to Tata Motors.
That's amazing. And it takes a lot of courage to do something different from the whole crowd. That's great. Secondly, what does a day in your life seems like as an in-house counsel?
So, if I would have been a fresher, my answer would have been very different, because as a fresher, you are not exposed to those much criticalities, and your seniors do kind of avoid that kind of work being given to you. Thing is not with the law firms. If you're involved in a team, you are in and out involved in a team. But with in-house, the things are that the strata that you are there initially, the freshers are given mainly research work and work related to filing and kind of managing few aspects of the work, which is the core work at the in-house thing. But being in industry for almost 9 years now, uh, my work presently would look like that I have a my inbox would be filled with round about 20 to 25 emails per day, which would want my advice on everything that the sector or the industry is actually looking out for. So be it sales and marketing division, they have their own customer related problems that they want to refer to the legal department so that we can advise on that. And with respect to, then there are commercials, like the department contracting department do writes to us for vetting of contracts. So it's a mix of litigation, it's a mix of document review, it's a mix of legal advice on an everyday basis. So everything that my company would want my advice on, particularly where they are stuck legally, is being referred to an in-house counsel every now and then. So then we have to chalk out as to what is critical and what needs my attention immediately. So if there's a filing, let's just say if I have a section 34 application that has to be filed against an arbitral award, so that comes with a time limitation. So that I'll be taking care of that. I'll be visiting my advocate's office, I'll be engaging counsels and giving them all the inputs that were required, and getting that drafted, or if there's an ongoing arbitration proceeding. So arbitration is a game of documents. So I will become the bridge between the technical department and my lawyer who's representing me in that matter, that whatever documents that are need to be filed, we have to analyze it, we have to understand it and explain it to our lawyers so that they can be presented in a way. So because technical bid documents and all the other technical qualification criteria which becomes very specific to any dispute are not, the lawyers are not quite well versed with it. So an in-house lawyer becomes a bridging gap between a litigation lawyer and a technical person, because we every now and then, we are going to vet those documents, so we are quite aware of the documents that are being put into question because of which the dispute has arisen. Let's just say there was some criteria which was given in that document which had to be fulfilled, and that was not fulfilled by that particular bidder. So, and for that reason, maybe he has filed a writ petition, or maybe he has approached some forum and he has challenged it, or a dispute has just arisen out of that particular point. So explaining that whole thing to my practicing counsel, or to the advocate who's going to represent me, becomes a primary task. And then coming to later stages where there are arguments and everything, then also our involvement is completely there when there's a dispute that we are going to, a commercial dispute rather, on behalf of the company that we are taking up before any court. This is one thing. And then there are labor matters wherein several employees who have had faced a disciplinary inquiry have been, terminated. They go to various forums and challenge their decision of the management. So that part also we look after. We look after all the disciplinary proceedings, whether they are done as per the standing orders, whether they are done as per the internal rulings and everything, where the uh, a fair and equitable treatment under Article 14 natural justice principles have been followed or not. So every now and then we keep on advising when these proceedings happen, and we do form an integral part of everything that that requires a legal understanding, where laws are involved, or at least a procedure has to be followed legally. A procedure has to be followed which law mandates. So we assist in that as well. And third is very crucial, that is document review. With document review, I would mean every contract, every letter, which commits to something, or every contract signing which undergoes, needs to be critically looked after by an in-house person and in-house counsel. And that those crucial comments are basically we look out for. We And that is a crucial part. Why, I'll tell you, because in those particular areas you have to keep business in mind and legalities in mind. So when there's business, the business wants a certain thing that needs to be done, or but that is not legally tenable. In such situations, we have to come to a middle ground, explaining it to the management and the officers and the managers that are involved, that this can be only done in this way. So we have to modify our way of working, or we have to modify this draft accordingly. So this is how it is. So these are the areas mainly I work on. And so there's nothing specific, like I said, but in general, that's why the person who heads a company is called a general counsel. So that pretty much the reason it's called a general counsel. This is what my understanding is. I do not know why this terminology was coined up, but general counsel means that you can refer anything that is pertaining to law, which to a person who's rightly available in your company, and that person has to advise. Whether he wants an external advice, it's up to him. Whether he wants to take internal people into action and put his task force to work, that is what it is about.
A question which is followed by this. So, do you think in law firms and in-house counsel work, is there a difference between how they resolve disputes or their arbitration strategy? Is there a difference, or it's just the similar which way?
The way of looking things gets very different when you're sitting across the table. So every now and then, I have not really practiced into law firms, but I have worked enough with law firms that have realized the fundamental difference between an approach of an in-house counsel and a person or an advocate representing or working with a law firm, is regarding the approach. My approach of an in-house person is completely understanding the business and keeping the requirements of the business, and the lawyer who's gonna represent me would technically look into the legal aspects of it. So that's how it gets fundamentally different, especially when respect relating to arbitration strategies, I would say. So uh, that's again a very I'll not say controversial, but very crucial area, wherein there are times when there clashes between an in-house counsel and the advocate. Let's just say if ABC is a law firm that is representing me in a 100 crore arbitration. So my consideration would be to rely on entirely on the factuals that are present available to me, or the documents that are available to me, and I would want it to be driven in a certain way so that the arbitrator really looks at it. But then uh, the law firms might have an experience in that criteria that this is not how arbitrators really go about it. So they would suggest us that uh, we will present this document differently, or will not really bring this because there's a certain document which proves X in my favor, but there's a fact Y which is there in favor of the respondent. So so the technicalities of it are being handled by the advocates, but the driving force with respect to factual presentation and document presentation lies with an in-house counsel. When we also understand, let's just say if an advocate says that this document is very very important to you, but then the fact is this document also reveals this fact that was concealed, or rather that was confidential at that point of time, which was not revealed to the parties. So having said that, that really puts you in a situation where you have to decide whether this document needs to be filed, or you need to critically analyze with your technical team that are there several other documents or several other communications which are proving this facts or not. So this is what it is. So again, a company would definitely keep an in-house person to understand what is happening between the lawyers that are representing them, and an in-house jobs person is also to facilitate the lawyer in understanding what all is crucial from the factual side and what should be presented, because an arbitration is not just contract understanding. It gets into the technicalities of delay, limitations, and factuals that did not allow that work to happen, or maybe some xyz factor which interrupted the whole process, because of which the dispute has erupted, which was beyond the control of both the parties. So it completely one has to completely envisage itself of all the factuals which are there, explain it to the advocates. The advocates will come back to you with you to come back to the team with a draft. Or let's just say if I have to file a statement of defense, the defense statement along with documents. So then again, statement of defense, I'll have to sit with the technical person and I'll have to make him read through each and everything, because the person who might just be giving an evidence in the matter would be a technical person. He might not be aware about any uh, legal documentation whatsoever. So it's an in-house person's job to make him read through as to what is written, what he's going to say, what he's presenting during the cross, especially the cross examination and the examination chief that happens before the arbitrators. Uh, is usually in a form that you file an affidavit in chief before the arbitrators, and the other party questions in cross examination that person who has filed that affidavit. So it is that crucial part that you have to look out for, and you have to explain the person. You have to really brief them regarding every question that might be asked by the other side advocate, and that person should not go blank or should not have an answer, or even if that question does not have an answer or is just not a relevant question, how exactly to deal with that question. So all of this takes a lot of effort, a lot of effort that's being put in by the legal team, understanding every factual aspect and the legal aspect, explaining it to the person concerned. So this is what the difference is. And along with this process, our advocates also sit down and explain as to in what manner the questions will be put up to the person, and in what manner the proceedings will be governed. So yes, there is a requirement on the side of an advocate that would give me, because as the law also prescribes, we cannot represent before being an in-house. That's a sad part also, but then I understand the business, and maybe there's a reason that that is there for us to become a bridge between the management and the advocates. So this is how this is what I think, and this is pretty much in general what the practice is across the in-house scene in India.
That was really insightful, like half the things I was not even aware of.
Yes.
Um, so from the student's perspective now, certain questions. So students like me who are really curious to know more about in-house but are not sure where to begin with, neither do they have any connections. So how would you advise them? What should be they be doing in their law school?
So I would not say that it's almost impossible to land, in being a fresher into an in-house role. It's quite possible, but then the journey could be different for every other person. I landed into this profession in an in-house through writing an exam and landing up in a PSU. So my journey was different, but I know of my colleagues who have directly got placed through college. Is a different thing. If there's no placement coming your way for an in-house, then the only way out is to possibly try explore an intern. So if you want to have an in-house profile, you want to get really into an in-house, you'll have to possibly try interning at various places. Various places I mean is various companies, if you want to, various corporate houses that you want to. So every other companies, I believe now law firms are also prescribing more than 6 months period is mandatory for you to apply to an internship. Probably that's not the case with in-house, but you do have a dedicated HR ID and a portal which is there for which you can apply. And if possible, if there's no response coming, then probably on there's certain people who have contacted me on LinkedIn also asking for an internship, and I when I find it genuine, I have referred them or I've given them the contact to apply on. So there are industry people in the industry who will give you a way out for interning. So first you intern at a place, you will have a clear idea as to what an in-house place is, and then probably you can ask that place that how exactly are they hiring, how exactly that place inducts people, especially freshers. So if there's a scope for freshers or not. So then given that scenario, there are several companies which induct freshers as graduate trainees. So there's a mandatory 1 year period that you have to go in as a graduate trainee, wherein you'll be posted at various locations, and you'll be posted as in various departments, wherein you'll understand and working of the company and every other aspect that is involved in the business. So once you complete that training, and then you are formally inducted into company as a employee. So so this is what is there for freshers, but it could be only for few companies, but that could not be the case for every other company that is out there. But the only way to find out uh, what exactly should be the way can be through learning through various internships. So let's just say if a person is very clear in his third year that this is the in-house role that he wants to apply, or he or she wants to apply or wants to take it forward, so then I would suggest that that person should be interning a minimum into 3 or 4 companies to find out exactly what is the way. So and then you have recruiting agencies which might just contact you, and and I believe for freshers also now there are several recruitment agencies, legal recruitment agencies, which do assist. uh, you might I do not know if there's a subscription model yet available with them or not, but I have heard of this thing, that this is how freshers also do land up in various role across in-house. So in-house practice also has various sub departments. So there's something called as a compliance department with every other company, which is usually headed by people who are law plus CS. So but there are several companies which are not very hard and fast specifically picking out CS for those roles. So a person who wants to get into a compliance regulatory field can also apply to those compliance teams and get into an in-house practice. So that's about it. There's no specific way. Like I would say, just pretty much similar to what law firms are like, but the only way is that law firms do offer you PPO, because there's things are very much in the hands of partners which are working at the law firm. Here this is not the case. Here if you are good at working, you can simply ask for internship, a callback that you want, and maybe through HR, because everything is governed by a dedicated HR department here, which is a full-fledged department, which has its own functioning and responsibilities to look into. So my recommendation saying that this person is good and his internship report is good, should be hired, will not have any value as such, until unless I that person is screened through an HR process and comes in front of me and I interview that person, and the interviews along with, let's just say, four or five other people which might not be from legal background. There would be one person from business, there would be one person from HR department, and one person who will be an external person who would have been called for that particular interview. So when things like these happen, the amount of fairness that goes into that interview process is too much to be able to thrive for. So is this is what I'm trying to say, that internship will only give you an insight as to how these recruitment processes happen in the company, and how exactly you will have to build your CV accordingly, or you'll have to build a process to enter that route specifically. So much so that many companies do require an LLM as a mandatory requirement for any in-house to work under them. So that's also a consideration that one has to look into, that if the people who are working there require, if an LLM is a mandatory requirement, so post your law school you'll have to complete a master degree LLM to be able to get through that particular company that you wanted to work in.
That's really insightful.
Yes.
Coming on to the last aspect, this is an off the cuff session, just like any rapid fire session, where
All
you
right.
have like a minute to answer to each of the questions.
All
You
right.
ready?
All right.
Okay. The first question is, in house means less pressure and more chill. What's your one reality check to it?
It's not less pressure, definitely there's pressure. I would say more chill, no, there is chill, but it is not like that. There are days that I've worked till 11 or 12 in the night because there was some deadline that is there. But one thing that I would say is, which is true to in-house practices, that there are no fake deadlines here,
That's
which quite, I will not say that's controversial for me to answer, but yes, this is what I've realized, that this is the reality, that you will not have fake deadlines. You will know the reality and exactly when a document has to be submitted, when a work has to be reviewed, and when a filing has to be done.
okay. That's cute. Another saying is that if you want to grow fast, you don't need to go to in-house or you should not go to in-house. Do you agree or disagree?
If there's no way to start, I would say it's better to start with something. But if you want to go fast, there's no such thing that in-house practice will stop you, because even if you start as a litigation lawyer, the amount of money that you will get initially will not be a great amount for you to start. In-house at least guarantees you that you'll have a handful of amount to spend and look after your basics necessities that are there. But yes, over the period of years, if you realize that this part, so what is important is, in-house, if you feel stuck somewhere, you change. And when you change, you realize that there are companies in the market which want better people. If you have to prove your worth, you'll be hired. And this is how people move in-house, and they have fairly decent salaries and packages, I would say, when compared to law firms. It might be more, but then it is not bad also.
Oh. What are the top three skills you'll say is required in in-house?
Is understanding that there'll be several times that you'll be posed with a not so technical legal work. It will be completely a task which has law involved in it. So it'll be your skill which can bifurcate that legal part to it, and keep that part to yourself, and delegate the other part to someone else who's responsible for that. So a management would definitely want an opinion on something which does not, has nothing to do legal way, like there's no law involved in it. It's just that they want to refer it to you, so that whether it's being done or not is done rightly or not. So they basically want a legal opinion for their own comfort, which is not the case. Everything that is a commercial call or a business call need not be given to legal department for your own uh, endorsement. So you will have to say no to that. So that is one thing that is crucial to in-house. When you have to learn this way of saying no very politely and very technically also. So you have to identify that this is my work, I'll do this. This is not my work, I'll not do this. So that is also very important.
What should be a law student work on to better prepare themselves for an in-house role?
uh, In-house practice, basically one thing is very crucial to work as an in-house is that you cannot be specific to a law specific. You cannot choose a field specifically in law. So there are times one day I'm working on competition law, the other day I'm working with a document that needs to be filed before SEBI. So I cannot really stick myself that I'll be reviewing a document, or I'll be only drafting replies or assisting in several other litigation related work. I cannot have that liberty to decide, you know or choose rather, that this work is specifically to one field, so I'll be doing this. So there are times that we have assisted our company in responding to queries posed by CCI, Competition Commission of India, because you're in business. So then you might get a query from Competition Commission of India, and then there is several things like just in my previous company, we were going to make an investment in a foreign company wanting a board position seat. So that investment, it was a crucial investment in terms of the technology transfers, and it was a crucial activity that had to be taken care of in terms of business. So looking at that, we had the legal department had to sit down and look after the due diligence part, which I had never done in my life, being in a law firm, because what a due diligence is a completely different process. So during that part, I learned how due diligence is being done, and how that documentation, those reports of due diligence are being prepared. So that was done in house. So an in-house lawyer as an in-house lawyer, the crucial skill is that you should be ready to do everything that has to do anything with law. You cannot choose that only I'll be drafting contracts, I'll be drafting only litigation replies. You might just have to sit through meetings where only legal consideration involved in that particular meeting is that whether the activity or the work or the process that they are following, it does it ensure legalities or not. That's it. So you cannot just pick and choose. That's not the case with an in-house practice in India.
Right? And lastly, this is my favorite question as well. One book that you'll recommend any law student should read.
Any law student should read. That's a very I do not know. Matlab, I do not, honestly, I do not like fiction. I mostly like read into fiction. I'm not into self help books or any
Okay.
non fictional work. So one book that has almost during my law school has motivated me a lot was How to Kill a Mockingbird. Was one book that is my personal favorite. When I read it, I realized the aspects of being a lawyer are very crucially, beautifully crafted into that story. So you realize that being lawyer is just not reading documents, or is just not about understanding legal principles. It's much more than that. So that's one thing. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is another book that I would recommend. And apart from this, which has not nothing with law, but but is quite favorite to me, is Fountainhead. That I want every law student to at least read it, so that this conflict between individuality and the societal needs, which is very much crucial to legal understanding, is beautifully explained in that book. So in that novel. So these are my three picks that I think every law student at least try to finish it. It took me almost a year to complete Fountainhead. So yeah, that's very important for any law student to read at least something which has got uh, to do with individual versus society. So that debate is very beautifully picked up in these three books, I believe. So that was my that these are my favorites.
These three are definitely going in my bucket list.
And
So this brings us to the end of today's episode. If there's anything, sir, you would additionally want to share with our viewers.
uh, so one thing to all the law students who are lost, because I was also lost at one point of time, because I was not getting any law firm internships from a crucial, from any tire law firm was zero. I have interned at a law firm which were tied to law firms. But then, having said that, never really lose hope if you're not getting internships from good places. Never really lose hope if you're not very good at academics, because law is much more than theories. So after coming to in-house, I've realized that the skills that you learned at law school and the skills that you learn in practice, and they do help. Obviously, your understanding of law would get developed, and your basic ways of working is something that when you are going to a debate competition, you're going to a moot court, your way of understanding a document or reading a document changes entirely. And so this is what I think, that every law student shouldn't be afraid of trying new things. It should not be like that there's a formula set that I need to work at a law firm, so I should be reading this or I should be reading that. It's it's very important, or neither writing research paper is. So whatever is your calling, you should follow that. If it is going to moot court competitions, you are learning there. If you are into research, write research papers, that will also help you. So there's no perfect CV. There's no perfect CV for any candidate who's gonna apply to any place. It's only your skill that will be judged in an interview. So if you're technically sound in the questions that are being posed to you, you will crack that interview anyway. So, because trust me, no one, like, sitting across several interviews, no one really asked me my marks, that I was a 9 pointer or a 10 pointer in my law school. That's not a consideration at all. So what the consideration is, that whatever questions that are being asked, if you are sound enough in understanding the problem that is being posed at you, and the solution that you're trying to give, that is what matters. So if you have a solution oriented and a research based approach, you will crack it anyway. So this is what my advice is. If you're lost, be lost, but then do keep juggling in whatever is coming your way. There will be a place that you will land.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words. It was truly an honor to have you here.
It
To
was
our listeners,
really a
mhm,
pleasure experience for me as well. So thank you everyone and all the best.
thank you.
Thank you.